Well, good morning. If you're watching this live, it is Friday, the 23rd of January, 2026. Welcome to the broadcast. We are in year 28 of bringing you the voice of the prophets. When we hit April, we'll be in year 29, almost 30 years doing this. First with the Elijah List, which still exists, and then ElijahStreams, which we've been doing this 5-6 years, something like that. And ElijahStreams, for many of you, is the only contact you've ever had with us. And so that you thought that this was the thing. Look at the drawers open behind me, and I did not know it. Okay, sorry for the messy house there, right there. You must have been looking for something. I may turn around and fix that a little bit before it drives me crazy. But anyway, welcome to the broadcast. We're going to bring in David Herzog here in just a few moments. He was at Mar-a-Lago only days ago, and we're going to hear a report directly from Mar-a-Lago and a whole lot of other prophetic words for 2026. So before we do that, let's go ahead and run a well spot of the beautiful work you're helping us do for the more beautiful people of Uganda and other African countries. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and run that, and then we'll bring in David. Here we go. I think some of you, I've been to Uganda once, and we spent some days there. We're going to go back about the time we hit the 1,000th well and do a special out there. Those jerry cans, they call them the yellow ones. They're all yellow. I'm not sure if I've ever seen an exception to that. Maybe there is, but they call them jerry cans. And wherever you go in Uganda, because they have to collect water in most times twice a day, in the morning, and then they do it all over in the evening. And you see children and sometimes adults, more of the younger generation who serve the family, the ones old enough to carry water, and they go out there. But wherever you go in Uganda, one day we took a 7-hour trip up to a different part of Uganda to see, we were going to go and see a safari there before we left home. And so we're traveling for 7 hours. Most of it's on dirt road, but not all of it. And all along the way, you see people walking along the road with their jerry cans, either going to or coming from the water. So some of them probably go get the water, then walk up to the road, and then follow the road to their mud brick type houses that you see often in these spots. So it's a very, very real thing. We don't set that up as some unusual scene. We film it as what is a daily basis in Uganda of carrying this water. That's why That's one of the many reasons where Jesus said, even if you, and I'll say ElijahStreams viewers, give so much as 1 cup of cold water, you will not lose your reward in heaven for that. So amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for giving. And we're completing a new well every single day, 30 days a week, 365 days a year. So we just need that ongoing support for any of you that want to sort of dedicate. Some people dedicate a tithe to it because this is the work of the Lord and the gospel is shared. And there's nothing almost more important than sharing the gospel with the native peoples, the villagers of Uganda. And so I don't feel bad saying if someone wants to give part of their tithe to that, it's gratefully received for the people of Uganda and for the work of the prophets speaking to the people of the nations, really. So, all right, let's go ahead and bring in David Herzog. So here's Prophet David Herzog. David, good to see you. Are you home in Arizona or where are you?
Good to see you. Yes, I'm actually in northern Arizona in a cabin. It's a lot like Colorado up here.
Really?
It's going to snow, and it doesn't feel like it today, but tomorrow and the next day, a snowstorm's coming. Yeah, we have 2 ski areas in the north. So,
I mean, you don't think of Arizona that I did a conference there with Graham Cook a number of years ago, 10, 15 years ago, and it was up. I honestly don't know where it was, but they had mountainous ranges or hill, whatever it was. We ended up in the snow.
Wow. Yeah, we get a lot of snow up here.
That's weird. I mean, people just do not think of Arizona with snow having that at all.
It's a lot like Israel. You can be in Tel Aviv and it's hot, and you can drive like 2-3 hours, and you're in Mount Hermon, and you can ski in Israel on Mount Hermon.
Can you? Oh, is that right? This is the mountain that Moses is thought to have gone up on, Mount Hermon. Is that right? Is that
that's where they think that Jesus ascended.
No, the transfiguration.
I mean transfiguration, yeah, and it's also where the same area where the watchers in the book of Enoch, whatever, came down. So there's something up there.
Tallest one over in tallest mountain in Israel, and that would have, when you look at that mountain, I don't know how high it is, but it's a huge mountain, right? At least by
we usually have gone years, almost every year with the tour groups, except for during the last few years, we'd go up on that ski lift to the very top and then overlooking Syria, and we would start praying over that area, protection. And so it's amazing. It's an amazing spot, actually.
Yeah, that's amazing. But I mean, think of that. Think of how long that would have taken. Let's see, Peter, James, and John, right? And Jesus, and they go and have this experience at the very top of this thing. That would have been a day to get up there, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, and I don't think they ski down.
No, I think that'd have been a bit of a walk. Yeah, but that was quite a journey. I mean, they would have been huffing and puffing it, right?
Oh yeah, amazing.
Do you know how tall is that mountain? Do you happen to know?
I don't know. I mean, if I went on ChatGPT, I'd find out or something.
Oh, I could always. Yeah, I live on ChatGPT.
Yeah,
I was scared of it at first.
I have arguments with it. I'm always correcting it.
I did too.
A lot of errors, and I always tell it. They go, "Oh, that's a good point."
Yeah, it's trained to do that. I hope it makes a memory. But it's gotten some things wrong, and I've corrected it. So,
well, you know what I do? I use the Grok and ChatGPT, and I have them. So I ask a question in chat. I'll put it to Grok, and Grok will go, "Yeah, but," and then I'll send that back to chat. And they go, "Oh, the good point, but what about this?" So between the two, I get really good answers, and they
well, my new favorite, and people should. I mean, I'm not a YouTube fan. I'm not a Google fan. I don't like the politics involved in that. But they've got their version called Gemini, and I've been trying it out for a couple of days. It's just as good.
Interesting.
Gemini, and I'm on a free version of. So you go to Gemini, Gemini.google.com. I think you sign up for free. Pretty soon, I've got the web version of it. And what was I going to tell you about this one? Oh, I was going to tell you something. Oh, well, this is what people can use that only on Gemini from only YouTube. If you went to YouTube and you said to Grok or you said to ChatGPT, summarize this video that it has never watched. Here's the link to a YouTube video. This only works for YouTube. They'll say, "I'm sorry, I don't have access to summarize what's on there."
Yeah, you're right. I've tried that actually.
So you go to Gemini that is built for that.
Huh.
And now you can take 10 of those a day and you say, summarize the content, give me no more than 500 words. And in 2 seconds, you got the whole summary of the whole YouTube video. And I never paid a penny, and I've already summarized like 10 videos today.
Wow, that's
Instead of
great.
having to
It
watch it.
speeds
So
up, especially when you're writing a book or something. You need some historical back.
100%,
It'll
man.
speed up your process. So yeah, we know eventually AI is going to be part of the Antichrist system, but until then, we can use it for good. So
Yeah, everything that's technology comes first from the Lord,
exactly.
and then the enemy will use it. All right, let's talk about what were you at Mar-a-Lago for, and how do I next time? What was the event, and how did you get to stay there? What was that all about?
So it was the Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast.
Okay.
Organized. It's usually in Jerusalem every year, but now they do it in other places. They did it last year at Mar-a-Lago as well. And so I was invited to come there and be there. And through a friend of a friend of a friend, somehow we got to stay the night there. So it's crazy. And the idea was to, of course, they pray for Israel and world events. And so the big subject that weekend, so you have senators like Michelle Bachmann, you have pastors, you have
Oh yeah.
government leaders in Israel, government leaders in America, all together praying. And so the main subject this year was Iran, to pray God's will be done. And this thing was planned a year in advance, not realizing these events would be happening right at that time. And so the main prayer was that the US government would do something to help liberate the Iranian people from the regime. And at first, Trump had said on Air Force One, basically, well, we'll try to negotiate with them. We're not going to get involved. And then we all began praying really intently during this event. And the next day, it changed. And he said, okay, I've seen enough videos of the death. Help is on the way. Now nothing's happened yet.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Keep going.
And so help is on the way. Everyone thought that meant immediately, but no, that meant he's sending right now tons of military equipment, carriers. So he's saying one thing, but if you look on the ground, there's a lot of millions and millions of dollars worth of equipment.
He kind of speaks in columns where if you knew to listen for it, you would realize he just told everybody. Another president might say help is on the way. Trump means the equipment's on the way and we're about ready. Yeah, like that, right? He just speaks in those kind of things.
Well, it took 5. I heard for the Maduro, it took 5 months. They planned it since August. So it wasn't a quick overnight thing. 5 months planning for that one event that took like an hour to grab them. So
That's
Iran,
crazy.
they need a little more time because this wasn't planned 5 months ago. So maybe in a few. So I think he's watching it. We have to pray because he has advisors that tell him 2 different things. Some are saying don't go in. It's not worth it. Others are saying no, please go in, liberate the people. It'll be a blessing for Iran, for the Middle East, for Israel. So we have to pray for him.
Well, and I've been, because of my position, I'm dealing with many prophets, including the ones that are on ElijahStreams and those I don't bring on, but they're still great prophets. I just there's a certain stream that I focus on the most. Probably Trump supporters would be the strongest single group of prophets, the ones that really have always thought that Trump was still the Cyrus and he never stopped being Cyrus and all that. But
sure.
What I'm looking for and seeing across the board is almost every Christian prophet is saying this one thing you just mentioned. Some counselors around President Trump don't want him to go in to Iran, and some do, and there's this conflict. And Christian prophets, from what I've seen so far, all want Trump to go in there and liberate the Iranian people. That's a pretty good unifying thing right there. Iran is a very unifying thing for Christian prophets and probably Christians, because we're sick of seeing the people mistreated. So, well, what else? Anything else? Any other prophetic revelation come out of that?
Well, another one the Lord told me right before we went. We fasted and prayed and we went, and that wasn't talked about, except for I did talk about it with the leader of the event, and he had a dream about that. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. I told him, this is what I got in prayer and fasting. He goes, that's funny. I had a dream about that. So the dream was, and I wasn't going to share this on the show, but this is great for your viewers.
Yeah.
Pray for this. It's a big one, but it's not on the news. It's not just Gaza. It's Samaria. Judea and Samaria is the heartland of Israel. Judea is like the Texas of Israel. It's like Judea. That's where the word Jew comes from. That's where everything happened in the Bible. I mean, Judea is the heartland. But right now, Palestinians or Arabs are living there, and a lot of the terrorists are there. So Gaza had all those terrorists, and Judea and Samaria has a lot of terrorists. Even this week, the military is back there again trying to get they're like basically Hamas. So Netanyahu asked Trump, can I annex it? Because basically Israel owns it, but lets them live there like a territory, but they can't keep up with all the terrorism going on. And they keep coming into, and it's not like Gaza. There's not real big checkpoints. They can just come out and start doing terror attacks. But Trump said no, not to annex it. So I think he's saying no for now because of the peace accord. but biblically that belongs to Israel. So we have to pray that the Trump administration lets Israel control that,
But
because
can I ask for a clarifying point? And I've had this question about Gaza as well. Isn't Gaza the West Bank? And you know more about. You've been there. I've been there like 7 times. You've probably been 27 times. I don't know, but isn't Gaza the West Bank, Judea and Samaria? Aren't they all part of the country known as the State of Israel, or are some of them not part of the State of Israel?
Biblically, Gaza is part of Israel. It's supposed to
But
be part
I
of Israel.
no. Let me get the not biblically.
Oh no! Right now, Israel gave it to Gaza 14 years ago. They gave Gaza to the Palestinian Authority. Then they
Okay,
had elections, and they elected Hamas to run it, and that didn't work out well. They just kept sending missiles.
right.
So Israel should just take it back, because that's the
Yeah,
only way. And then Judea and Samaria is part of Israel. Actually, from what I understand, it's part of Israel. Soldiers can come in and out, but they let the Palestinian Authority run it. But the Palestinian Authority isn't really running it well, because they're letting Hamas do what they want within it, and which is causing civilians, killing innocent people. So Netanyahu said, for our national security, we need to control Judea and Samaria.
yeah,
And so the Lord showed me this. We're saying, for our national security, we need Greenland. We need Venezuela under control. We need Cuba under control. So we're saying, and we're hoping people understand our side, that for the Northern Hemisphere, Western Hemisphere, we need those countries. So then how much more should we understand
well, right.
Israel? Right there, it's inside Israel. When
Yeah,
they
well,
say
not
we
only
need it
do
for
they,
security, they
not
really need it.
well, yeah, not only do they need it for security, but as you said several times already, biblically it belongs to them already.
Yes.
So why not? And I suppose Trump, everything is, we say everything now, but with Trump and presidents, it might need to be now, might be in the next year or two or something. But
Well, he never said yes at all. He said to Bibi, we just disagree on Judea and Samaria annexing Israel, annexing it. He said it. You can see the video, but don't worry. I know Bibi will do the right thing, and he pats him on the back, meaning he'll do what I want him to do, not take it over. So that's what I'm saying. We have to pray, but when the people pray, God will send the right advisors or dreams to President Trump or something, and he'll go, oh, maybe I should, because we want favor to be in control of areas of our hemisphere, so that Russia and China don't come in. So we should, as we bless Israel, that they protect their national security.
yeah,
That will give us favor for ours that we're
by the
trying to do.
way, and I'm just, I'm appreciator of Trump. He's not our
Oh,
savior in
he's
any
amazing.
way, but he's the earthly commander in chief, if you will. And I've said lately on the show, I'll try to get Johnny to come right out and say it. I think he agrees with me, but he doesn't want to quite come out and say it. I said, I know they talk about Trump being king and dictator and blah, blah, blah. But I said, to me, he's already acting like president of the earth, or at least the Western hemisphere, or
Yeah.
democratic nations. They by de facto honor him. I'm not into kissing the ring and that sort of thing, but they honor him as the administrator in chief, the commander in chief of the Allied forces, if you will, or of the Western Hemisphere. He keeps talking about the Western Hemisphere. He clearly sees himself as executive of the Western Hemisphere. Look what he's doing. If it wasn't for him single-handedly saying, this is what we're going to do, we wouldn't be doing any of these things.
Oh, he's accomplished more in 1 year than any president, I think, honestly, has ever done in the whole United States for good. And
Yeah.
so many, and the world's kept together in a way because of what God's allowing him to do. So if he wasn't president right now, it'd be a way worse situation. Our economy, the world, it's still not great. Like, we're still teetering on potential things, but thank
Right.
God he's in charge. So
Yeah.
I'm thankful. I voted for him. I'm for him. But also, when you're prophetic, there's a part where you can't always be a yes man. There's at times when you see a danger, you have to be able
Yeah.
to say, "Oh, Mr. President, we love you, we're for you, but in this one area, please be careful." Because,
Yeah.
and that's why a president has advisors, but also a president needs prophets or prophetic people that
Well,
he
I
knows
was
is on his side, but just to give him, help.
I'm aware of close encounters, if you say the third kind or whatever. Close encounters where prophets I know are getting close, but I can't say I'm aware of an actual prophet having audiences with. They probably are. I don't know about them, but I suspect prophets are getting through. But I think it's very few that are getting
Exactly.
through. And the ones that go and talk about it, they'll probably never go again, because they need to be
Mhm.
if they want to silently or carefully let people know I got to see with the president, that's probably not going to get them invited back. But I don't know. What are your thoughts about that subject, about
I
prophets
think
getting in and all that?
so. I think there's pastoral councils around him, which is great, and I think some of them are prophetic and might be hinting to him stuff. But I think there's a reluctance to tell him anything. Hey, on this area, be careful. You might not be doing it right, because they're scared they'll never get invited back. So there's that. But
Yeah,
I believe there's others around him. I believe that are prophetically able to speak to him, and those are the ones that he would probably trust. Okay, this person's proven they're for me. They're not against me. And like if you have a mom, right? Your mom would say, "Hey, be careful, David, on this
yeah,
thing." You know your mom loves you, but hey, be careful. Or your wife, be careful with that person there. I think there's something up with that. Don't
yeah,
connect too much. So I think, but you just got to pray that there's more of that, because
yeah,
he needs the wisdom of morality from pastors, but he also needs the prophetic. But those that are for him, he's got to know they're for him first,
yeah.
and we're for him 100%, 1,000%. And again, not everything everyone does is perfect, but comparably to any other president, there's no one else I could see right now in this time of world history
Yeah.
that I would want leading the
And
country.
I think that one thing you say that, well, last thing, we'll get onto your next subject on this on our notes here, but um, those that can't get in will sometimes use ElijahStreams, and they'll and I've kind of talked to a couple of them. I said, I don't know that this forum is supposed to be for you rebuking the president, even though you love him and you believe he knows you or who you are. So
Yeah,
this is the only forum, and it's uncomfortable because I don't want to withhold something if it needs to be said on
sure.
ElijahStreams. It's a really
It's
razor
it,
edge
it
balance to me.
it's a tightrope. You and I, for sure. I mean, we met. You and I were at the presidential prayer
Yeah,
breakfast
yeah,
10 years
and
ago.
yeah,
So I was at the inauguration. I was at the Trump Hotel. I prophesied on the stage. Trump will move the embassy to Jerusalem. It'll be one of the
you did,
greatest things he's
didn't you?
done.
You did, didn't you?
And it was 10 years ago, and it happened. So we've been tracking with him. Then we saw each other at the other prayer breakfast at the Hilton.
Yeah,
Oh, no, I think it was no, that was a different time. That was 2016. We saw each other.
yeah,
I think you were there, and then 2020 we saw each other again.
yeah,
So we've been praying for him, for him. We're 100%. So when I mention like Judea and Samaria, it's just more like, ooh, when that subject comes up again, pray about it. That if we want national security for us, let them have their national security for them. That's all I'm saying.
yeah. Yeah, Paul, this may or may not be a theological point, but Paul talks about the gospel to the Jew first. He mentions to the Jew first. And Sid Roth talks a lot about that,
Yeah.
correctly so. And then when Jesus says he's ascending, go ye therefore to all the world, preach the gospel first in Judea and Samaria. What does he say? First in Judea, then Samaria, then into the uttermost parts of the earth.
Yeah, because that's the heartland of Israel.
Yeah, those are the two things you mentioned, and that's where it starts. So whether there's terrorists there or not, you need a freedom to, or at least the ability to go in there and preach to Judea and Samaria. And what are
So
you saying?
I will support you, Steve, as you go into Judea and Samaria.
There you go.
The terrorists, I will support you. I'll pray for
Is
you.
the entirety of Judea and Samaria an unsafe place? Is that what
Pretty much. There are some
okay?
Israelis living there near them, but it's pretty much Palestinians living there. And there's a lot of hotbed of terrorism. Every time they go there, they're finding weapons and terrorists that from there that didn't. So most of the attacks within Israel, a lot of them are coming from there. And so it's a big problem. It'd be like if in the
Yeah.
middle of Texas there was a whole region of terrorists mixed in with the people. You'd have to do something. So that's And back to oh, go ahead. I was going to tell you about Iran real quick. Iran.
Yeah,
It says
go
in the
ahead.
Bible, I will put my throne in Elam, Elam, which is Iran, Persia. So when it says I'll put my throne there, that's a sign that Iran will probably have a major move of God at some point. And that's why it could be that God uses us to help liberate them with the Israelis, maybe. And they have a season of revival and glory over there. So that's what we're praying.
I saw that the other day. We had Yvonne come on and talk about Iran. We had Cameron Uri and his wife Susie. They're from the Morningstar area, from Moravian Falls. He is Iranian and she's Iranian by marriage, as you might say. And they had such a heart rendering thing. We have the other guy that's coming on next week to talk about. He's got boots on the ground in Iran. But one of them or several of them are talking about that scripture you just said. I will put my throne in is Elam.
Yeah.
And that's Iran. That's
Exactly.
the way they say it. They call it Iran. And that is not a small scripture. He never
No.
says that I'm going to put my throne in
He mentions that about Jerusalem, but that's about
yeah,
it.
Jerusalem in the last days or the final times, but he never says that about any other country that I know of.
So
Right?
he has a special heart for Iran.
That's a huge deal. And
Yeah,
then when you start realizing, we were bringing this up the other day, that this is where the book of Esther took place, is that
exactly.
place. And that's where the story, and the Jews were rescued out of that. And that
Yeah.
they're now appealing that, even though the 20% is what Cameron said, 20% were saying death to America, death to Israel. Now the 80% who didn't do that except when they were forced to are pleading with
Hmm.
not with their false god to have death to those America and Israel. They are pleading with America and Israel to come rescue them and attack.
Well, the fastest growing revival in the Middle East or in most of the world is in Iran right now. More people are getting saved. That's why when they were protesting, they were not just burning down the police station; they burned down mosques. I mean, so Iran said that was foreigners coming in, but no, they're saying we're done with Islam. We want. I think because of the revival, that's why China fears revival. Why do these countries, North Korea, suppress Christianity? Because when they read their Bibles, they say Jesus sets me free. So the idea of freedom comes from the Bible. It doesn't come from America, even, or the Mel Gibson movie Freedom. It comes from the Bible. So Christianity liberates them enough to where they say we should be free as a society to worship our God.
That's really, really
So
good.
I think that's what the seedbed of this protest, I think, is the gospel.
Now you've got several points about Iran, so I'm going to let you work your way through it. I'm not going to look at the numbers, and there's videos to show. So you tell me where you want to go next.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, we mentioned a lot about Iran already. Revival, pray that they get set free. Either they do it, or the America and Israel helps them. However God wants to do it. But yeah, we pray for them because they're oppressed. They're being killed. There's up to like 30,000 dead now. So way more than the news is reporting. I mean, I saw videos of just bodies and bodies, young,
Yeah,
18, 19-year-old.
it's
I saw this
horrific.
one video of a girl. She's an IRGC officer's daughter, and she went on this Iranian show and she risked her life and said, I don't agree with what my dad's doing. I went to the protest. They caught me. They grabbed me. But then when they realized who my dad was, they let me go. But they took my friends, these girls, put them in prison, raped them, beat them, and then sent them back out. So she's crying, saying, I don't want to be a part of this. I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. So even those within the families don't want it. And she said, my father's evil. I'm sorry. And she was almost like suicidal. I don't think she's a believer yet, but she's just wanting to be. So yeah, so just basically pray for them. There a lot of them are
Yeah,
our brothers and sisters in the Lord. And so a lot of the America First people say, we always say America First, but not America only. And so they're like, oh, we shouldn't get involved. It's like Iraq. It's another Iraq. It's not Iraq. It's not an Arab Muslim population. It's a population controlled by radical Islam, but the people are not for the radical Islam. It's a whole different, and they're not
I mean,
Arabs.
in
The Persians is different.
very many ways, it's the same thing as Venezuela. Everything's different too, has their own
Yeah.
differences. The people were oppressed.
Mhm.
And I think in the same way that Israel's cries went up before God, and so he brought in Moses, Iranians'
Exactly.
prayers have gone up before God, and Venezuelans' prayers have gone up before God. And he brings a deliverer. In this case, it's clearly Trump is the
Exactly.
Moses. I mean, he's a Moses, he's a Cyrus, he's all these different things. Hey, I want to talk a little bit. We were talking about Israel a minute. We're going to move around here, and then
Yeah.
eventually, when we show that, they're telling me the videos you have was about Mar-a-Lago. We'll get back to that, but
Oh yeah. I
I
just
want
did a
to
little.
talk to you about that. There got to be this clash going on a few weeks ago or a few months ago, and it was really intense. People were taking sides, almost half of Christians against
Yeah.
Israel and all that. It feels like that's blown over a little bit, but maybe because I just backed off of the discussions. What is your thoughts? You're out and about. Is that blowing over? Are people mellowing out of this whole? They started seeing some mistakes Israel made and started almost becoming anti-Semitic. What are your thoughts
Yeah.
on
So yeah, that's a really good. In fact, that's a subject God's been having me really pray on and work on. So the big issue in America is, and I live in Arizona, so Phoenix, right, where Charlie
Yeah,
Kirk event happened. Ben
yeah,
Shapiro was explaining what's going. So the bottom line is, this is the real bottom line. There's a lie going on, especially on the conservative side. It used to be the left, and among 30 and under, even in the Christian, even in the church. So it started with October 7th when Israel got attacked, raped, and killed. Then Israel responded with trying to kill the terrorists. Okay. then all the stuff that was in the surface started coming out. So people already kind of had these ideas. First of all, there was the propaganda. So they somehow, if we found out Qatar put millions and millions and millions of dollars, and China, in the algorithms of YouTube, TikTok, all that. And so it became, oh, Israel using overwhelming force is just killing children. Like Tucker would say, they're just killing kids, which is not at all. Like, if you talk to anybody in Israel and you follow, and I have friends that there's like complete lie. In fact, they have the least amount of civilian deaths, and especially in a popular area, than any other war that's ever happened in history. They're very targeted. There's terrorists in this place. Get out of this building, please. We don't want to hurt you. We're trying to kill the terrorists who are shooting missiles from this building. And sometimes it is a hospital or a school or a mosque or a church or an apartment building. And they have missile launchers from there that keep going. And so they call them. They have their numbers. They call them. They put leaflets. They even send troops sometimes to warn them. They risk their life to warn them to save civilians. A lot of Israeli soldiers have died protecting the civilians.
Wow.
So that they have the least amount of casualties.
Wow.
So that's a lie. Then a lot of the Hamas health authority, when they show the videos, now sometimes kids do get killed because they keep them in there and Hamas doesn't let them go.
I mean, that's war and collateral damage, and we would just pray that it never happens, but it does.
But the lie is that they're purposely trying to genocide. And so if they're genociding, it's a pretty bad genocide because their population keeps growing. So they're not genociding. It's literally fighting. If America was attacked from our border the way they were, we wouldn't have been as nice. Knowing how our country rolls, we would have just carpet bombed.
Well, I mean, you look at World War II. Come on, nobody had smart bombs in those days. So Germany would go and bomb London and everything, and try to obliterate everywhere civilians and churches and cities and people lived. And then we did the same thing. Yeah. And then, unfortunately, in order to end it, we had to take out 2 major cities, but hundreds of thousands have died. Those were civilians. So it could be considered a little bit rich that we say, how could you do that when civilians got killed? When our history shows that we ended the war by doing that. As unfortunate as it is, it feels like it still had to be the right thing at that time, because many more would have died than that if the war had continued.
Yeah. Well, there's that one, and then the other issue. There's another one that's popping up now. This is what Christians lie that's coming in the Christian camp. Basically, that Israel. This is coming up more and more. Israel really isn't, the modern day Israel today isn't really God's nation. This is what they're saying. Because when it was created in 1948, they say it was the Rothschilds, which is Illuminati. It was the United Nations, which is not, Christian. It was the globalists, the British Empire. Let Israel become a nation. Like, they saw the prophecies that eventually will, so they try to preempt it and create it on their own terms so they can control it. So they're saying, therefore, that's not really God's Israel.
And it's a red herring. Because it is a lie. And when I first heard it, I thought I had never heard that the Rothschilds had done this illegal thing, and that they were funding both sides of the war, and there was no real loyalty to Israel. But then Johnny and I talked, and he and I run this stuff. He doesn't run it by me as much because he's the one with the knowledge of it. But I said, now explain this to me. And I said, it seems to me that after thinking about it for a few weeks, that if the Rothschilds did this and it was all manipulative, even illegal, if it was everything wrong about the way they did it, and yet God prophesied Israel would have their own nation, and this is how it came about, by hook or crook, whether they did it illegally or not, did Israel not become a nation as prophesied? And he said, yes, it has. And I said, so then, even though it wasn't God's plan, it doesn't thwart his prophecy that this is what would happen, right? God knew from before, when he gave the prophecy, he probably, as we understand God, knew how people would read it and try to make it come. He already knew what they would do. Yeah, but that didn't thwart his plan.
He laughs from heaven at the nations. And I told people, so you don't think that God could use the enemy to make him think he's creating the nation on his terms, and God's just using Pharaoh to do his bidding?
That's right.
And then I said, if Israel's not legitimate today, we shouldn't be praying for Israel. We shouldn't stand with it because it wasn't created the way you think it should be created. Then you can say that about Jesus. Who killed Jesus? The globalists, the Roman Empire, some of the Jews that influenced the Romans. Okay, so Jesus was killed by the globalists. So then does his death not count? Same thing. So God can use. Look at Pharaoh. Pharaoh let
you went over that really fast. Say that again, because that was a good point.
So the globalists killed Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Who were in charge of the world? The Romans at the time,
Yeah.
and then some Jewish religious authorities that were working with the Romans. So you could say, okay, they're like the Rothschild or whatever, and they conspired and tricked him. And so then does his death not count? You know, so
Yeah, that's a good rhetorical question, and of
so
course his death counts because his death was his prophesied death. That was what counted.
so I said recently what you said. Funny, you're the only other guy I've heard that said this. I said recently on one of our meetings, I said, so if Israel was created not the way you thought it should be, then therefore it's not really Israel in your mind, and the people there aren't really Jewish, and then the temple they're going to build is not really the real temple, and then when the Antichrist comes, that must not be the real Antichrist, and when Jesus finally returns, oh, that's not the real Jesus.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And all the nations that are aligned right now against Israel is exactly the ones that have never been aligned before against Israel and with each other, the Gog Magog war, right? You got Persia, you got Turkey, Russia, all that. They're all friends now. So all that is just a coincidence. It's impossible. And how they won the war against all odds with hardly any airplanes. I mean, there's so many things. But here's the other lie. Here's another one that's coming up again.
Okay.
This is a big one. The big one is the Jews that are there running the country are not Jews because they're Ashkenazi. So it's a whole teaching that the Ashkenazi or the whiter Jews from Europe is the Khazar. They say it's these Khazarians that were from the area near Georgia.
Okay,
and Turkey.
but let me, and we've talked about that on our show. So because we've talked about it, let me insert it before you go too far.
Yeah.
So you know kind of where we've talked about it.
Sure.
It's the same thing as just because something bad is going on doesn't mean the good isn't there. And so
Exactly.
I think it was a real deal, the Khazarian mafia and all of that, depending on how you see it. You know, there's a scripture that says they say they're Jews, but they're not. That's almost a prophecy that there will be people that say they're Jews and they're not Jews, but they say they're Jews. And so it could be equally true that there are fraudulent Jews trying to run things. That does nothing to thwart the plan of God and his people in Israel.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It doesn't mean the bad isn't it doesn't mean the bad isn't going on. The bad still is going on.
Oh, our government has evil in some levels of it. So Israel has
of
stuff
course,
going on.
but all levels
But it doesn't
of it.
again, but then they use that to try to delegitimize again Israel. And then they'll say, well, I'm not against Israel, I'm against political Israel. Meaning you don't mind Jewish people, but you just don't want them, even if they're living there, that's fine. But you just don't want them to have a government, a military.
No. And I don't think they mean that, but I hear what you're saying. They have made too big of a leap. They're like saying the people are all good, which they're not, and the politicians are all bad, which they're not. You can't make those kind of generalizations.
Exactly. But even the Ashkenazi Jews, most people are Ashkenazi, which is the lighter ones. If you look at DNA testing, it shows very clearly if you're a Jew, that's meaning you were a Jew that was in Israel. The Romans came, took it, so they dispersed. Some of them went south to the Arab nations. Some of them went to Southern Europe. Some kept going to Eastern Europe. They kept getting kicked out. So 99% of the people that are called Ashkenazi, they're the same Jews that were in Israel that just kept getting pushed out. They have the same all the way down the family line. They've been Jewish, and then someone tells them, "Oh, you're not really Jewish." They just like, "What?" So the Hitler killed 6 million Ashkenazi Jews, so he killed the wrong ones. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. That most of them, that Khazarian thing is, there was a small group. There was a king that converted for political reasons. But when you take a DNA test, if you're Ashkenazi Jew, it doesn't say anything about Georgia or Turkey. It just says, clearly shows the Jewish bloodline all the way back.
Well, hey, let me complicate it a little bit more than that, but those are well thought out points, and I hope people will garner exactly what we meant to them to start thinking about that, because don't overgeneralize anything except that this is the land of Israel and God's people. There's good and bad in the government. There's good and bad in the people. And I've seen that on both of those. But what was I going to ask you about this one? Okay, so like we went there 4 or 5 years ago. A young woman I met when she was 16 years old, when the internet was brand new, and she married and grew up and got married, has 4 kids, and they were from here. She grew up here, but they're full-blooded Jewish. So we went over there, and she's not saved in any way. Still isn't, not at all. But she wanted to know if we'd come to Israel and go to her daughter's mat mitzvah. So we did. Nice. We paid for the whole thing. Nice. Our part of it, we went, and it was meant a great deal to her. And we still stay in touch with her, but she's not seen the light about Jesus Christ, but I think she's very respectful. She knows exactly where we stand on that. Sure. Okay, so while we're there and different things we're seeing, then we see other people in that time period who are 100% American Gentile and with no Jewish history, and they go and convert to Judaism. And then we start talking to the people, they convert 100%. They take on the custom, they end up immigrating, all of that stuff. And then we're talking to the same friend and they're saying, in Israel, you guys all talk about Jewish blood this and Jewish blood that, the Jewish people. But she says, if you convert and you become an Israeli, a Jew, you're a Jew in our mind. Exactly. So that, what is that? Where is that in this whole thing about, to the Jew first? I mean, what would your thoughts be about the people that are, I'm never going to do that sort of thing. I don't care about becoming a Jew, but what about those people? Are they Jewish? That's a sort of a different discussion, just for the fun of it.
I think in your heart, because look at the Queen of Sheba. She wasn't Jewish. She was a black Ethiopian queen.
That's true.
Basically, the story is they had relations with Solomon. And then after that, you have black Jews today from Ethiopia immigrating to Israel because they intermarried, but they begin to worship the God of Israel. When Israel left Egypt, it says a mixed multitude followed them out. So many Egyptians started to follow the God of Israel and mix with the Israelites. So Israelites have a mixture of even some Egyptians. But the different, it's like, but okay, if a Mormon or if a Muslim, a Buddhist becomes born again Christian, we don't say, well, you were a Buddhist before. So it's in the Old Testament, it's that once you worship the God of Israel, you're considered Israeli. But apart from that, most of the people in Israel genetically trace pretty much all the way back to, if you look at the pictures during the Holocaust, you see the Germans and you see the Jews that are being rounded up. They don't look like the Germans. So the thing that these Ashkenazis are really Germans and Russian, no, they look pretty Jewish to me.
Yeah,
they got the nose, they got the eyes.
Yeah.
But the other danger is now the third one is creeping in the church is the replacement theology, but repackaged. It's repackaged now in a different way. So it comes off like this. Who are the real Jews? Like Candace mentioned this, the real Jews are really just the born again, just the Christians. We're the real Jews. They're not the Jews.
No, that's silly.
I know,
is that what she's saying? Is that what she's saying?
Oh, she said it straight out. We are the real Jews. They're not. So again, this whole thing's popping up and influencing a lot of people. And it's camouflaged, even the whole Israel scenario. So how do you become anti-Israel or anti-Semitic, but you don't want to look bad? You camouflage it as just asking questions. Are those the real Jews? Should Israel be allowed to just kill innocent kids? So it's camouflaged as free speech question, but it's really slandering a people group. Did Steve really cheat to get ElijahStreams going? Whatever. Like, it'd be like, I'm just asking. I'm not saying he did. I'm just asking a question.
Yeah.
But so it's very insidious that just asking questions is a way to slander someone or a whole people without being blamed for it.
Do you believe, by the way, and we're not going to try and discuss Candace one way or another, is she good or bad? But it's a little bit of my question, but it more has to do with the heart. Does she, in her heart, believe what she's saying, or is she decided she believes what she's saying because she turned anti-Semitic and so now she's making everything add up? Does she see herself as a born again Christian who now has this new belief? I'm trying to get to the heart without overly judging.
Yeah. So I think I have an answer for you.
Okay.
So if you look back, people think it's only about because she got fired from her last job with Ben Shapiro, but around that time she converted to Catholicism.
Okay.
After she married her husband, so she was supposedly a normal, what we say Christian like us. I don't know if she was spirit-filled. I don't know if she's born again, but she grew up in an African-American Christian family. Then she became Catholic, converted to Catholicism. And her branch of Catholicism is an older branch. So the stream of Catholicism she's in is completely replacement theology. In fact,
I didn't know
her
that.
stream that she's in didn't agree with the Pope John Paul II when he said, "We have hurt you. You are God's covenant people." They don't agree with that. They believe that the Jews are no longer God's people.
Really, and that was her upbringing. Then,
so that wasn't her upbringing. That it was her husband who she married.
And then she converted
and that happened around the time that she also got fired from Ben Shapiro, and she had anger and hurt towards that. So there's a combination, I think, of unforgiveness and hurt. Just kind of like Kanye West. She said, some Jewish guy, messed me up. So it's a kind of a hurt against a Jewish person, probably, or a few, plus with the theology. So I don't think if you're born again, why would you convert to Catholicism and an ancient stream of it that's anti-Israel?
Well, I mean, to me, I'm probably too simplistic in that, but that I'm probably too simplistic in my thinking, but she loved her husband, and she loved what he loved, and he
Yeah,
loved that, and she didn't know it
but
was
it
wrong.
influenced her. But I'm saying it probably
Yeah, yeah.
influenced her.
But I mean,
That's
it's
what I'm
like it
saying.
doesn't make her. That's why I say get to the heart of it. Did she believe it because that's what she believes? Because she was trained into that by the husband she loves.
Yeah,
And
but I think she really believes
it,
that the Jews are not God's people. I mean, she's really adamantly very strong on that.
yeah,
But I think it's a combination of that plus with some hurts and anger. And so we have, of course, we got to pray for her. We pray that because she's incredibly powerful when she speaks.
yeah.
She's like an incredible lawyer. If she could just get visited by God, get all the anger and rage and big bitterness and gotcha and just trying to. I mean, it's always when you watch it, I just feel anger. I see anger, bitterness, hatred. That's all I see coming
And
out.
and as you're saying, I'm going to be careful to say how we say it. You're not saying I just see she's full of hate. And so
No.
you by extension then take on the hatred. You're saying discerning the person you're observing.
Yeah, the frequency coming out of her is not like before. She was
Yeah,
very clear-minded and would be able to go against the woke and was very just. And then all of a sudden, it's like you ever have a friend that you're friends with them, and suddenly they get really hurt by someone, and all they can do is talk about that other person nonstop every time you're with them.
I see. Yeah, okay.
So so something got in her, a bitterness, and we just got to pray
Yeah,
that she.
and you know what? I won't say the denomination. I've said it enough times on the air anyway. But my denomination that I grew up in we didn't have that term. Nobody used that term, replacement theology. I was taught as a child that we are now spiritual Israel, and Israel is no longer Israel. Now everything that talks about the Jew is talking about spiritual Israel, which is all Christians around the world. I believe that honestly, I never hated Jews. I never was anti-Semitic. My parents weren't anti-Semitic. We never had that. We were just taught theologically this is the way it is. My parents were not racist.
And most people, that's how it is when they're in replacement. They don't hate any person. They just are in a even like radical Islam. They're just in a theology. They grew up in it. That's all they know. And then they meet a Jewish person and they're like, oh, wow, they're not that bad.
Yeah. And when I began to, then you start studying. I'm looking at our time here. We're going to get going here. But when I started getting into other circles, I found the Lord in a big way. And all the circles I was in was pro-Israel is the term, I guess. And I would say, why? And tell me. And then they started pointing to the scriptures and say, Paul was a Jew. And he said, I'm a Pharisee of Pharisees. And he said, but he calls everything dung as that he was raised up and it was. But he said, I don't have that memorized, but basically I myself am a Jew, and I would rather myself be cut off for my people to be saved. Salvation comes from Jesus, but he also says salvation is from the Jews, so.
Yeah, well, because Jesus is Jewish, so it means.
Yeah, I mean, you can't undo that. So
it's all connected. And when in Romans, when he says, I'm speaking to you Gentiles, do not be arrogant towards the root, which means Israel, the Jews, because the root supports you, Judeo-Christian. And so if that meant that if he was speaking, meaning spiritual Christians are now Israel, that verse would make sense. I'm speaking to you, Israel. Don't be arrogant towards Israel. It wouldn't make sense. So,
and the reality was, without meaning to, I call it unintentionally arrogant. I'll say someone is arrogant, but they don't mean to be. They say, I was saying, the Jews don't matter anymore. We are spiritual Israel now. I didn't mean one thing against Jewish people. I just meant theologically, this is how it is. And I thought it was the sweeping thing. And I probably included any Israeli who became a Christian would then become spiritual Israel or something.
My pastor was replacing theology on the mission field for 12 years. And he was an American missionary, but I loved him. And he's a sweet guy. We didn't quit the church. We stayed. And the Lord said to me, don't argue with him about it. Just keep blessing Israel. I'm gonna bless your ministry so much. He will get jealous and he'll come back to you. So I just started not talking about it anymore. He's like, no, we're Israel. Okay. Started going to Israel, doing our big events in Europe and France. And he was there 20 years before me. 6-month revival breaking out in one church. He comes to me, he goes, I am very jealous. I need to have a talk with you. How did you get a property when you had nothing? Your book is all over Europe and France. You're on TV. You're on God TV. You're renting the civic halls that Benny Hinn used to rent. And how are you doing? I said, well, I tried to explain to you a few years ago, Pastor, but you didn't want to hear it. Okay, explain it again. So now he's all ears, and I'm reading Romans, and he goes, I'm going with you to Israel on your next trip. He goes to Israel, gets to the wall, and he's like a theologian, gets to the wall, starts weeping. And I said, what happened? He goes, in 15 minutes on that wall, I understood 3,000 years of Israel's history. I get it now.
Serious?
And now he's one of the #1 blessers of Israel in Europe, his ministry, and he gets invited to speak on behalf of Israel and other things and promote praying for them. And his ministry started, right after that, his ministry started growing. His youth group skyrocketed. The building he was trying to buy, the owner let him own it really easily. And all these miracles start happening. And he's like, it took that. He saw the favor. And he told me, at first I didn't believe it. Even when I went to Israel, I had the revelation. My brain still couldn't compute it, but I knew that it worked. So my theology was still off, but my spirit knew you were onto something. So I just kept doing what you were doing. And all of a sudden, my theology caught up with what God was doing. And now I understand. It was so ingrained.
Well, and I mean, I think the thing that took your time, God told you basically in so many words, take your time, don't argue anymore. I've got him. Let him become jealous later. Okay, this is the word over Israel. You will not see me again until you say,
exactly.
He is that comes in the name of the Lord. And that probably has multiple levels of meaning. Sure. In the here and now, it could explain why there's a less percentage of Christians in Israel than almost any place on earth, I think, because it's just not accepted. But there are a lot of Christians in Israel.
Well, there's more there than the surrounding Arab nations, because you have more freedom of Christianity in Israel than you would in most of the Arab countries.
But it's just pretty small. It's like 1% or something like that, or less than 1%.
It's small, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but there's that thing. But then that's also a prophecy about the end of time. When Jesus finally appears, maybe it's that time when he comes through the eastern gate or whatever that is. I don't have that all memorized. They're saying, blessed is he at that time that comes in the name of the Lord. It could be some of that's fulfilled in the last minute. I don't know I don't claim to know how that all unfolds.
Where a lot of Jews are getting saved now, right? So for them to say, blessed he who's come in the name of the Lord, which means there's two revivals. There's the one right now, the first fruits that call him back, that are getting saved, like in our outreaches. And they're the ones growing, and they're calling him back. Then when he physically comes, the rest of the nation, the leadership, the religious, they mourn for the one whom they pierced.
Yeah.
So the Romans did it, but also the Jewish religious, not realizing, and they'll mourn as a son. Oh my gosh, you are the one. So we're seeing a first fruits right now getting saved. And then that will eventually trigger, when he does come, the whole nation gets saved. So you're onto it, something right there.
Yeah, and I mean, I just feel like there's all these levels of it, and then it goes down to the individual person that who's a Jewish person. My friend, Melissa is her first name, but she's the one we went to their bat mitzvah. It was beautiful. It was wonderful, and she said the daughter cited the Torah and had this memorized and had to read it in Hebrew, and it was beautiful. We're overlooking the city of Jerusalem up there.
That's so cool.
It's very, very cool, very special. And then we toured a bunch of Israel together because they had never toured Israel themselves. It was like that was their first trip over. They had the bat mitzvah and a rabbi doing it, and they toured Israel with us. It was
that's amazing. Well, that's why that's why God blesses you a lot. One of the reasons is because you have a heart for Israel, just like me. We don't understand everything, but there's something there about that nation that God loves, and you just want to be part of it.
Yeah,
however that is. And
that's a mouthful right there. It's like you want to be part of it. So what did I think I was going to ask you about that? I don't remember what it was, but yeah, all of this. But anyway, on that level, here's our friend Melissa and her husband. He used to fly at the time. I don't think they're together right now, but he flew for Southwest. And I can't even remember his name right now, but he was a pilot, or is a pilot, and beautiful kids. One of them, I think, went back to the IDF. I'm not sure. I've had several Jewish families that were raised there, came over here for spent a long time, then went back and went to the IDF. But what was I going to bring up about that? I guess this part about blesses. You will not see me again until you say blesses. Mm-hmm. This is for Melissa too. She won't be watching this, I'm certain, but God would say over her, "You won't see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord," and other thing, because right now it's just beautiful. She thinks of the Christian faith as a beautiful faith, but she would never leave her what do they call it? Do they call it synagogue? They go to synagogue on the Sabbath and all that. So,
and there's a way to reach them, but you have to come at a different angle. You don't say, "Oh, become a Gentile Christian." You say, "Oh, I just tell them, guess what? I met your Messiah. Do you believe a Messiah is coming? Oh yeah, someone's coming. Guess what? I met him." And they'll usually ask me, "Is he Jewish?" I go, "Of course he's Jewish." And that's how you're not introducing Christianity to them. You're introducing their own faith, their Messiah. They become a completed Jew. They don't have to stop doing Shabbat.
Because people don't realize that Jewish people don't always know that Jesus was himself a Jew.
That's the
Raised
biggest
a Jew.
problem. They think
They
he's
don't know that.
a Roman guy, some Italian guy.
Is
You
that,
know, long
do they
head.
know? Do they really?
Well, the Catholic Church is based in Rome, so that Catholicism is kind of how they see it, or Lutheran, some German guy. So basically, why they don't get saved sometimes is because they think you're trying to convert them to your Gentile Christian faith. But if you say no, I want you to know your Jewish Messiah.
That's so good.
You don't have to give up your feast. You don't have to give up Shabbat. You don't have to give up eating kosher. That's Jew. You just I met a rabbi once in Israel, and I said to him, "Do you believe Jesus or Yeshua is the Messiah?" And he looked around. Is the first time I went there. And it was near the wall. He made sure there was no other rabbis listening. And he looks at me and says, "Between you and me, he actually could be." I said, "Well, how are you going to know?" He says to me, "Well, when the Messiah comes, we're going to ask him, is this your first time to Israel or your second trip?" It was a funny joke.
And it's kind of a joke, but I mean, it's almost
said,
serious. You know, it's
yeah,
like it's almost serious because of it's hilariously funny. But yeah,
because
wow.
he said to me, "Well, Jesus, when we research him, he was completely Jewish, so we know he's kosher." And you know, he said to me, "Well, we don't have a problem with Jesus so much as Christianity, because they killed us, the Crusaders, the Nazis, so that we have a problem with." So that's why if you say, "Would you like to be a Christian?" to them, it's like saying, "Would you like to convert to your enemy's faith that try to kill you?"
Yeah,
It doesn't work. It's not how you do it. You have to tell them,
do you
"You're
believe?"
Messiah."
And I'm not going to ask you inside information because you couldn't talk about it if you did know. But I'm asking belief. Do you believe that there's a bunch of two categories: Jewish people who secretly are already serving the Messiah but can't tell anybody, and secondly, do you believe there's already a bunch of Jewish rabbis that the same thing that actually already believe in Jesus now, but they can't?
I can answer that.
Okay,
I can answer that. So
go ahead.
back in the days of Ruth Ward Heflin, she was a prophetess. She had a base in Jerusalem. Back in those days, she told me she already knew there was at that time there were several hundred Orthodox rabbis that believed Jesus was the Messiah, but they couldn't reveal it yet, and God would show them when it would be time. Secondly, I know personally there are people in the levels of the Israeli government. Knesset,
Okay, wait, say that again. You just broke up right there. Say that. You go back up 20 seconds.
People working for the Israeli government, the Knesset, working for, I won't say which ones, but some of the highest levels, working with them, born again, spirit-filled, tongue-talking, Messianic Jews, working in some of the highest level of the Knesset, in the Israeli military. So people don't realize that. And a big lie, here's another lie I've been told recently. Oh, most of the Jews in Israel are Kabbalists. No, if you look at it, Kabbalah is because Kabbalah is like witchcraft, kind of like mysticism. It's like 2% maybe are into that.
Most is that right? I thought it was maybe this big group.
No, if you can Google it, most are secular or just religious or Orthodox. Yeah. So again, the whole lie. Yeah. So God is moving and working. When we were at that Mar-a-Lago, so there was Knesset people that are completely not at all believers, and yet they're praying with Christians. And they said, every time I come here to pray with you guys, this is on the microphone, I don't know what's going on, but every time we come here to pray with you guys at this Jerusalem prayer breakfast, our prayers get answered when we're with you guys. And they
really?
say, and the
word, microphone.
I don't know if I sent you the worship. Maybe if I did, you can play it. The glory came down in the worship.
Yeah, we have a couple of videos, and since we're getting close to time, let's go ahead and show that. How many videos do we have? 2 or 3? What? Which one should we play?
Me?
I don't know how to set it up. Do you know which one you want to?
There's one where I talk and I explain what's going on, and I think I have another one with the worship. So
okay, do the one where he talks first. Then she said, "Oh, Julie's saying show them worship at Mar-a-Lago first." Okay, we'll do that one. Okay, here we go. Wow. At the president's home, basically.
Yeah.
That's at the president's house.
The glory came. So I'm saying God is moving. So if you didn't see that, God's moving among, and then Knesset members there that are against each other, like here we have left and right. They had the same there. They're in the thing speaking. And one lady's more left. She's like the left wing that would have been against Netanyahu and all that. And then you have the more right wing that are the more, and the lady said, nor in Israel, we would be completely against each other. But somehow when we're in a place like this with the Christians praying together, all those differences seem to melt away, and when there's a unity. So they're trying to understand, what is this thing when we get with Christians, and they feel the presence, they see the prayers being answered. One guy came up and said his wife was supposed to die of cancer. Jesus healed her supernaturally. And they're like listening to all this, like, what? So they're seeing the love, the power, that something is going on. So when people say, oh, I'm against political Israel, well, God's doing something even among the politicians there.
Yeah, I got to tell you a quick story here, and then I'll show the one where you're speaking to, but this had to be 15, 16, 17 years ago. We were in New York. My daughter was we were dropping her off in Queens area to take dog training. That was what she wanted to do. She's since gone into another profession, but that was her time. So we're dropping her off. God had given me a word about the bones, and I don't remember all the details, but the bones of the cemetery and praying for that. And I thought, I don't know what that means. It was a dream or something. And so we get a hotel, the best hotel we could figure out that would be close to where my daughter was going to be. We check in there, and the largest cemetery in Queens, and I think of all New York, is right across the street, literally. Wow. And so I go there and I'm thinking, okay, I'm supposed to pray in that cemetery 15, 60 years ago, whatever. So I go the next day and it's huge. So I go this way and I ran into somebody 50 yards up, and I said, do you know where the entrance of this thing is? It's huge. It's all gated. They go, no, you got to go around this way. So I turned around. I never saw that couple again, but I go in there. I feel an anointing in this thing, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to pray. Something about bones, and obviously there's bones here. So I thought, I'm going to find a place where I can tuck away, because people seeing a Christian or someone not praying in a Jewish way, whatever. I find this one tucked away place in the whole cemetery, close to the gate, close to the fence. And I'm going, okay, now, and I happen to park myself in front of a tombstone, big old thing, and it says Finkelstein on it. I'm going, I have no idea what I'm going to pray or why I'm here, but maybe I'll just pray for this family line. So I said, Lord, I'm praying for the Finkelstein line. Anything from this family line, the Finkelsteins, I prayed life from the dead, I go back and I write this story on the Elijah List because I felt it. And I was getting all of these suddenly Finkelstein connections. I watched the movie on the way back, and it had Finkelstein in it. And I thought, what? And so I just told this prayer about obedience, or this thing. This guy wrote to me. I can't even remember who wrote to me. It's on the Elijah List. And he goes, Steve, you are not going to believe this. While you were praying about the Finkelsteins, and then you wrote this story, we were in Germany with a group of Jewish people who said they would never, ever darken the door of Germany again because of what had been done to their family line. And this lady, and I believe he called her Senator, but I'm not 100% sure. Either said Senator Finkelstein or Mrs. Finkelstein said, I said I would never darken this door of Germany. And because of this, because of the love shown to me by these Christians who brought me over here, I'm having all this healing. She's streaming down with tears. Well, she didn't know about me, and I didn't know about her, but that's just the story of someone in a political position that God was reaching.
Wow.
Thousands of miles apart, and I stumble into it, which is how I usually obey. I stumble into obeying very
So God used you probably to touch her line and bring some healing.
Yeah, and little did I know, little did she know. She probably never heard that story, but anyway, interesting. Well, let's talk about you're talking for a minute on this other video. Should we show that one?
Yeah.
Go ahead and show that. Here we go.
Hey guys, we're at the Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast here in Mar-a-Lago in West Palm Beach at Trump's house, basically. About to have an amazing meeting with leaders from all over the United States, Israel, other countries. And what's amazing, we all praying together for God's purposes on the earth, in America, in the Middle East, in Iran, in Israel. And just amazing people are here from around the world and across America. So we're honored to be here at Mar-a-Lago. We actually got to stay the night here, so it's pretty amazing. And we're going to meet a lot of exciting people, and we're going to be praying in workshops to see how we can help America, the Middle East, and the nations. Even this Iranian thing that's going on right now is connected with what we're doing here. So keep us in prayer. God is moving. God is on the throne.
Yes.
And that was your wife. That's your wife.
Yeah.
What's her name again? I can't remember her name.
Stephanie,
Stephanie.
my beautiful Stephanie.
Yeah, you got how long you been married now? It's been a lot of years.
34 years.
Whoa.
Going on another 34.
Oh, nice. We're at what are we at? We're at 47 right now. We're about
Oh,
to
wow.
hit,
You beat me.
yeah, beat you a little bit, but you know,
December will
I,
be at 35. So it's a
I mean,
good
I
thing.
can't even believe someone as young looking as you have been married 35 years. So that's amazing. So,
Thanks.
well,
We got married when we were 6, No, I'm kidding.
that's it. Listen, would you go ahead and pray for the people and bless the people? I
Sure.
know they're going to want. A lot of people just tuned into this and will get sent this video. They're going to say, this is going to be sent to people. They're going to say, listen to these things we learned about Israel and the other side of the story. You know,
Sure.
Paul Harvey used to have a thing called the rest of the story. This is like the rest of the story as it relates to Israel and all the stuff we're talking about. So go ahead and
Behind the scenes, green room chatter.
all that
But
stuff.
before we pray, before I forget, all the stuff I talked about with Iran, what's happening in Israel, Middle East, it's in my book called The Glory in the End
Yeah,
Times.
please do show
And
it.
I actually write about what's happening now with Iran in the book. So I prophetically kind of picked up some stuff that seemed to be happening faster than I thought it would.
Did we have a copy of his book? This one?
Yeah, that's it. The Glory and the End Times. You can get it at thegloryzone.org. And I mentioned Iran, Elam, the throne of God, what's happening with the surrounding nations, how it's going to. So it's about the end times, the glory that's coming and what's going to be happening and how to position yourself so you're actually on God's winning side. And I totally forgot too, because we got so carried away. We have a conference coming up, Prophetic Glory Conference, and that's going to be awesome. We're going to talk about all the current events and what God's doing with finances, with politically, with everything. We have Alan Didio with us. He's a big podcaster, Pastor Jane Hammond and his wife, Tom.
Jane was with us today. Now, we're recording this a day before people see it. Jane was with us today. So
that's wonderful.
We're very good.
We love those guys.
Yeah.
She's wonderful. And awesome. Stephanie Herzog, very powerful seer, prophetic, myself.
Is she a seer? I didn't know she was a seer.
Oh, yeah, she's a major seer.
He does all of our worship too. So yeah, we love him.
In fact, she probably sees me right now doing this interview. She's
yeah,
she's a seer for sure. She sees a lot of, even last night, she gets prophetic end time dreams all the time. Very, very accurate. So she's amazing.
Very, very good. Neat group. I don't know Alan Didio. Is that the way you say it?
Yeah, Alan Didio. Yeah, he's a pretty big podcaster. Powerful also on end times and what he exposes what's going on with everything, the globalists, what God's doing. He's really, really powerful. He'll be with us. Really awesome. And it's February 5 to 8 in the warm Arizona near Phoenix.
What's the temperature around that time of year?
I'm guessing, don't quote me on it because things can change. But I mean, we were at 74 degrees a few days ago in Phoenix. So I'm guessing that was January. So February, maybe we'll probably be in the 70s for sure. I'm guessing.
Okay. Excellent.
And so, so if you're from anywhere colder, come on out, get some warmth, get in the glory. And it's almost like how people do January prophetic conference, but February, it's going to be good because so many more events have happened since January 1st. It's going to be a recalibration of what's going on. Where are we at? What is God saying? And of course, there's always healings and miracles and all that stuff that happens, deliverances.
You probably don't know, but how many do you expect at a conference like that? What's the size of a conference?
We can seat like 550 in there. So it just depends on each one. I don't know the numbers right now, but I'll know when we get there. But come on out. You can register now at thegloryzone.org. It's going to be exciting. Super, super excited about this one.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and bless the people if you will.
Sure, Sorry, I just remembered all those.
No, I'm sorry. I forgot to ask you what you had on that. I meant to do that. So.
Yeah. So Lord, I just pray for the people watching. I pray for revelation over your people, especially concerning Israel, the end times. I bind any spirit of deception in Jesus' name, especially concerning Israel, that they would stick with what the word of God says. I'll bless those who bless you. I'll curse those who curse you. And the nation that God's brought them back to the land, they would see that, okay, they're back. They're in the land. God's moving in the land. I pray for revelation over your people concerning Israel, concerning America, our role in the end times in helping the nations and helping Israel. And I pray for a revival among your people, that a spirit of revival and awakening, holiness, that many would go into prayer and even fasting in this season for the intense things that are coming ahead in our nation and in the world. I just pray, Father, for your glory to hover and healings and miracles on their physical bodies, that even now they would feel a warmth and they would feel cancers dissolving and moles gone and bones healed and incurable diseases be healed right now in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And on our way out, you're going to see a spot about our Israel tour. And so I'm going to go ahead and put that up, and then we'll say goodbye. I'll just say goodbye, David, and I'll let you go now, and then I'll
Thank you.
put that, see you later, and then put that graphic up. If you have that graphic of they may not have that ready. Okay, the Israel tour is April 28th to May 8th, ElijahStreams.com. And of course, Robin is the featured speaker, Robin, Stephen Doreen Shultz, Steve Swanson. He always comes with Yvonne and Mina, Atia, Mike and Lori, Sally, and Michael Wilhelm. This is a team. The people on the bottom are the ones doing most of the up front, and the people at the top are all very gifted prophetically people, and they're helping us with the crowds as well, because you'll get to meet a bunch of us that you see online, but you don't get to meet. So you're gonna have
That's
a chance.
awesome.
It's like we're at least going to be at 300 people. There may be more than that, but it's going to be very, very good. So, and that is April 28th to May 8th. So, all right, everybody.
You've been so faithful in those Israel tours.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, God's blessed us because of that too, I think. So, all right, everybody. You have a great day. Thanks, David.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
See you all in the morning, Kate. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Join us for an unforgettable journey to the Holy Land, the 2026 Israel Tour with ElijahStreams. Experience powerful worship with Robin Bullock and the 11th Hour Band. And be inspired by Steve and Doreen Shultz, Yvonne and Mina Atia, Mike and Lori Sally, and Michael Wilhelm. Steve Swanson will be leading us in music as we walk where Jesus walked, worship at historic sites, and connect deeply with the land and its people. This is more than a tour. It's a spiritual encounter. Spots are limited, so register now at ElijahStreams.com/Israel26.